I've played the song twice.
Yeah.
I haven't really listened. But apparently people say it's going off.
Oh, it's fine. No,
Yeah.
listen to what he said. I don't know who heard Drake, but damn, he's going back to
The old
Care.
Drake?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
the Take Care Drake.
Bro,
yeah.
like, I'm telling you.
Because every meme I see is like, you know, so
No,
it's like,
trust me. Listen to what he says.
Yeah.
Like, because I've played like 3-4 times now. I don't know who heard Drake, but damn, like he's in his feels in that song for sure.
I wonder who it was.
No matter where you are, no matter how far, don't worry, baby. Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry.
I guess it's karaoke today. That's what we're doing.
That's how I test the mics, man.
Yeah. Well, it's better than what you did last time.
What was that?
You see it when you watch it, you're like, sorry, man, I farted.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's literally in the intro. I kept that in there too. I'm like, I'm not cutting that out.
Did you? We should get real headphones, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, just let me know. Send me which ones are good. I don't know if I need any, but
We can even. I'm gonna get just beats. Just beats will be good. I'll send you.
oh yeah, okay,
Yeah,
or any good
anything.
studio ones.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just had to reassess. You know how life is.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was good. It was like I'd already been having it. I think it's just like even just after the conversation we had,
Yeah,
it was just good. Just like it's getting P's and Q's.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially what you said. I think the thing that stuck out to me when you're like, it doesn't really matter when shit is happening in life.
Yeah.
If like, especially when it comes to like work stuff, like if I was to like, I think you like, it's like if I was to cover your face, it wouldn't matter who it is. What matters is just the results.
For sure.
So that was like playing in my head the past week. But it's been good, man. It's been a productive week. Got a lot of shit done.
Good.
So it's been good, man.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep that momentum.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it's like a lot of people think that the problems that they're going through are the biggest problems in the world, which is fair because like everyone's their own individual and they don't know what anyone else is going through, so they do feel like their problems are the biggest problems in the world.
Yeah.
But it's like everyone's going through something, and it doesn't have to be like super tragic or like anything like super serious, but like everyone has problems. Everyone's getting kicked out of their crib, or everyone's having arguments with their girl, or everyone's going through a breakup, or whatever the case may be. Some people are struggling like mental health, or like they just don't know what to do, and they're just lost, and they just don't know where to find themselves or what to do and put themselves in situations. But like, or family's sick, or whatever the case may be. But like everyone has something, and I think one of the worst things you can do is put your problems on somebody else.
Yeah.
And start affecting someone else's life. So it's one of those things where like you have to understand that your problems are real, but you still need to perform regardless. At what like people think that because they're going through issues, they can't work, they can't exercise, they can't do anything, and it's like no, that's when exactly you're supposed to get stuff done. Yeah, and it'll make you feel better. Plus, it'll take your mind off stuff, and it's like, but if you compound like the stuff that you're going through in your life with also not getting stuff done, then your whole life is deteriorating at every angle. It just fucks you up everywhere, right? Yeah. So it's one of those things that you just kind of reset, and hopefully not continuously reset. Once you press the reset button once, maybe twice, you kind of are good to go, and you don't need those constant reminders.
It's just about getting. I think that's what it was. I think I'd gotten out of that rhythm. Yeah. And that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, because even prior to us having the call, I was trying to figure out like what had made me get out of that rhythm. Because even with anything, like I wasn't working out as much. You know, just kind of like you said, like when one thing fucks up, it's kind of compound thing where it affects everything else. Yeah. So just trying to kind of get back to that system and just like what you're saying, splitting all my tasks up and just getting the more important things done. Because it it reminded me of a conversation that we had before. It's like you gotta just like prioritize on like the most important things. For sure. Especially like for me, like right now with the client work, like prioritizing like the biggest clients and focusing on that. Yeah. And just getting back to a system. So I think I'm in that place now where I'm getting back into that system. Yeah. And I think it'll be easy too. Like once fall kind of hits, like, you know, like there's no distractions after like the summer. With
no more hot boy summer.
Nah, bro.
Yeah. So this was your first summer singles. So
yeah. It was.
You kind of got to. How was it?
It was good, man.
Yeah.
It was good. I think we said in the last episode, like it's the most fun I've had, and also just not having the pressure of like having to like cater my my schedule to someone else. Yeah. I did what I wanted to do, and it's like
It's a little liberating, you know?
Yeah, it's chill, man. It's just like the stress. I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't have to plan anything, but if I want to do something, I can.
Yeah. That's kind of similar to like when we went on vacation just now, and I was like, I got to travel the first 3 days by myself until we met up in Bulgaria. But it was like one of those things where it's like, if I want to take a nap, I can take a nap. If I want to fucking go out and walk, I can go walk. If I want to go eat, I can go eat. But it's not like I want to chill. And then she's like, oh, let's go. I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat. Or it's like, oh, we've been in the hotel all day. I'm just like, well, fuck, this is what I feel like doing. Yeah. So it was nice. Like the 3 days, it was kind of like do whatever I want. Yeah. But that can get tiresome, obviously, for some people. But it's nice to have every now and then, and kind of remind yourself what it's like to kind of just be by yourself and do the things that you want to do without having to second guess or having to cater to someone else's wants or needs. Yeah. Which is good, man.
Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been like, I feel like I also have the right group of people around me right now. I feel like even our friendship has developed, and just like with other people, like I have the right people around me right now just to do that type. Because even like that's something I've been reevaluating. Just like we're in September now, so it's been like 9 months. You know, I've been doing like a check-in every single month. I'm like, man, I've been able to do a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that I'm doing too for like the end of the year or two. Yeah. It's just like, you know, like I had my fun in the summer. Now I just need to get some shit done.
Yeah, it's like it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Like what are your goals? Like what do you want to get done? What's your vision with your work? Right. Like because I know you're doing a couple things. Like obviously you have just like the regular client work, and then you have like the side stuff with the clothing and with the content guys that you're doing with. So it's like what are you trying to do? What do you want to do?
I think I want to be a personality. I think that's what I like. Not like influence or anything, but kind of someone like Eric Thomas, where like he's like a motivational speaker, but he's like does other things. For me, I kind of want to do that, and then just I create content as well. So the goal is to like focus more like the media production side of stuff, and like slowly like building a team. Like there's a couple people I've taken under my wing, and then just like just have multiple streams of income and just like do shit that I want to do. I want to do like definitely more public speaking stuff as well. Okay. Yeah, just doing the panel showed me like it's something like I'm good at, and just being an MC at a club just for fun. Like it's something I like being around like high energy things. Yeah. So I want to just like focus more on that, and just like the merch thing too. Like it's hard to find stuff that I like, especially in my size. Yeah. But also like it's a nice extra means of income, and it's just multiple streams of income, man. Like it's just the goal is to build that generational wealth. And just make sure like my kids and my great grandkids don't have to go through shit that I went through. So it's just trying to figure that out and set that up.
Yeah, cause like it was funny because like I hung out with a bunch of friends not too long ago, maybe 2 months ago or so, and like one of my friends said the same thing, like there's multiple streams of income, and I feel like it's such like it's turning into like a cliche term. It's like how do you get that? How is that acquired? How do you think it's acquired, or how do you plan to acquire it?
Well, for me, like it's I started with like that's what the media production is, where it's like I have consistent means of income, and that allows me. It's like the same with what you're doing here, like with the gym, where it's like once you have a kind of like your cash cow, it enables you to kind of like filter money into other things that can grow. So like, and the goal for me is like to be able to set up stuff where it's like I don't have to be there. Like if I'm not there, the business still runs. Yeah. So that's what it is. It just takes like a couple of years to kind of get to that place where it's like you understand what I'm talking about. Where it's like now it's like you've actually been able to go on holiday and stuff because now you've kind of set up a team around you. But the first couple of years you kind of had to always be there. Yeah. So like that's what my thing is right now, focusing more on the media because that's what's bringing me the most money. Yeah. But then once I have that set up, it also enables me to now start doing more of the public speaking stuff because I actually have the time, and then like filter more money into like the merch stuff as well, and even with the stuff that we're doing too, where it's like I don't have to be the one in charge of it. I'm just like managing it. So even with the production stuff, just being a creative director, basically where I just like I'm leading the vision of it and people filming and like editing it, right?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So what was you did a public speaking recently, right? Yeah. What was it? What was it about?
It was for the Black Block Party. Okay. And we were just talking about like what Black joy is, and just I was able to talk about more like men's mental health stuff and just like what it's like, just what's Black joy.
What is it? What do you think it is?
I think just being able to be yourself. I think especially as Black people, we've been through so much shit and we always complain about it, but I think a lot of it's just like having the ability just to be yourself and show up as who you are. That's what I define it as. Because like there's always shit to complain. Like you get it. Like especially for two black guys like us, big black guys, there's always a perception of who we are.
Yeah.
For me, I just got to a point where I just don't give a fuck anymore. I'm just showing up as I am. If you fuck with it, you don't. If you do, then it's like, because it's weird. A lot of people have these perceptions, especially of black men. Like, I like weird shit, like, you know, poetry. I like Greek mythology, a lot of shit. I play tennis.
Poetry is weird.
No, but the thing is, for black people, like, you know, when you, like, and my name too, like, my name, every time I've introduced myself to a certain group of people, you can tell they're almost alum, like, you're a black guy. Like, that's the whitest name you could have.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess Daniel's a white name too.
But Daniel's more like, you know, there's a lot more Daniels, like, of different races, so it's not like, you know,
I guess, yeah.
How many Stanleys do you even know to start there? Right.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
So it's when you're like, it's because I think a lot of it, we've been put in a box where it's like we're just black guys are just like athletes or like this and that. When you like kind of veer outside of that, people are a little bit shocked. But I'm like, why can't a black guy like golf or, you know, weird shit like that or tennis, you know?
Yeah.
Or even like when I tell people I'm terrible at basketball, they're like, but you're black. I'm like,
yeah, it's not. See, I get that because like me, when I see a black guy that's terrible at basketball, I was like, it's just interesting because I'm like, that's typically a sport that we gravitate towards, like naturally.
Yeah.
So like, maybe it's because we've been pushed towards it or whatever the case may be. I think that's what it is. Right? But it's like just naturally, like white people gravitate towards hockey and golf and like tennis. And black people gravitate towards like football and basketball, and you know, so it's like that. When I see a black guy that's terrible at basketball or says that he's terrible at basketball, it's more so like interesting because if you had like, depending on who you're hanging out with, like in high school at least, like most of the black athletes are playing those sports.
No, 100%.
So it's like, did you just not play with those sports, or did you not hang out with black people? Because like I played every sport, but like my main sports was football, and then we played pickup basketball. I never played organized basketball, but it was always like street ball at like Moody Park or wherever. And then all my like ethnic friends, like whether it's like Abdul or fucking Dre or whoever, like even like all the Filipinos, like that's all we're playing is basketball. Yeah. So it's like if you're hanging around ethnic people or like minorities, typically those are the sports that you would be playing as you're growing up. Yeah. So like, for someone to be terrible at it, that just means you never played it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I get it. Like, that's also what it was. Like, it's not like I haven't tried it. I just didn't like it. And I just played tennis from a young age. That just, like, the school I was at, like, I was at a private school. So, like, we had to play 2 sports every kind of semester. Yeah. And honestly, I kind of got it because my friends were playing. Like, I played cricket, and I hated cricket. And 2 of my friends kind of, like, were playing. So, like, I got to, like, start learning from a young age, and I just got good at it. So, I think a lot of it, too, is just, like, there's almost just a perception that black people can't be exposed to certain things. It's like, for example, like that whole thing, like we could walk into a restaurant, like a fancy restaurant, that people would just assume we're pro athletes, where we could just be 2 black guys who just enjoy fine dining,
for
right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's a lot of it's just breaking those perceptions of how people see us.
Yeah. I'm not even too worried. Like, I'm not even worried about breaking the perceptions because like I get it all the time, and it is annoying. Yeah. Because it's the same perception, where it's like, and they mean, like, people mean so well. So it'd be like an older, like, white lady. She may be in like her late 60s, and she's just trying to have a conversation, and she's just like, "You're tall. Like, do you play basketball?" And I don't get offended by it. But I'm just like, that's just the most basic thing you can kind of assume off the jump, just because I'm like, if you saw a white guy, and like, if I was a white guy standing next to you, I don't think you would assume because I was 6'3" that I was playing basketball. Yeah. And like, it's funny because I'm like, have you guys seen basketball players in real life? Yeah. Like, real basketball players are like 6'5" and above, and like 6'6". Yeah. And it's like, I'm 6'3", which is like taller than the average human, obviously. Yeah. But in terms of like real basketball or even like college basketball, I'm short. Yeah. And you see my size, where I'm like 225. So like I'm like, how come people don't, like, the first thing isn't football? Yeah. Like a more physical sport because of my size. Like, if they seen a real basketball player, they're tall and they're like lean and lanky. Like, there's no mass to them. Like, Dwight Howard may be a fucking anomaly and all these guys, but it's just like, to have mass on you as a basketball player. No, it's like long. It doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
They're not super skinny, but they're not big at all.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like for me, every time I get that comment, it's not offensive. It's just that one, it's a little annoying because it's the same comment.
100%.
Where it's like, you guys, you can't come up with anything else.
Yeah.
Like at least to like chat to me about if you're trying to start a conversation. And then two, I'm like, how come it isn't football because of my size? You know what I'm saying? But I'm not even too worried about breaking that stereotype because I don't really care how people perceive me.
Yeah.
It's more so the people that I care about how they perceive me.
Yeah.
Like the people that I'm around. Like if the people that I care about think about me in a positive way, then everything else is kind of like whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like I'm like I care. I think when I was young, I definitely did. And just like again, it's coming from like a country where like we were colonized, and like there was a certain thing we had to almost be a certain way to be, so we're not like so that we are cultured, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of it too, like what I'm saying, it's like I don't care. Like I'm just showing up as I am.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember what I was listening to, and with a guy was like, you know, a lot of the times people come and ask us to come and speak or like come to these like engagements, and then we always say thank you to them. But I'm like, no, like thank you for letting me bless you with my presence. That's kind of the mentality I show up. And it's not like an arrogant thing where it's like I'm here for a reason, right? I'm like, I am who I am. I don't
for sure
have like you.
Like, thank you for the opportunity to speak, but also like I understand that I'm bringing something to the table, so you're welcome.
Yeah, so that's I can't remember what it is. Like when I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
he articulated a lot better than I did, but it's like, yeah, man, it's like a lot of it's just like it's weird. A lot, even with me, like people like when I tell them I'm from Zimbabwe, like an African, they're like, but why is your English so good? I'm like, what? You would never ask a white person, my English so good. Like you would never ask another like person who isn't black that, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to break those stereotypes, but also just like dealing with that. I'm like,
yeah, they're just ignorant people, really. Yeah, they don't like they hear Zimbabwe and they assume that you just got here yesterday, and they're like, how come you speak? You're right, but it's like,
do I have a pet line? Like stupid shit like that.
How?
Dude, I'm literally like I remember like in first year, like
funny shit.
For like Frosh, telling people like I was like, oh yeah, like you know I'm from Zimbabwe. Like I was like, so like, do you guys have pet lions and shit? I'm like, and I started frying. I'm like, yeah, I have a pet lion. His name is Simba. He's like right in my backyard. You know, I pet him all the time. You know, weird shit like that.
And they believe that shit.
Exactly.
Fucking
stupid.
Yeah, it's like going to the States. Every time they're like, "Oh, where you from, man?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Vancouver, Canada." And they're like, "Isn't it cold up there?" And I'm like, "Bro, are you guys like? Oh my god, is that it?
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
Yeah.
What age did you move here? Like, how old were you?
18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought you like if you came a little earlier, like 14, 15. I'm wondering why you didn't play football because you're such a big guy.
Yeah,
but I guess
I almost did actually.
Pretty late in life.
I almost did.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a mess though. I can only imagine.
The thing is, if I kept to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Your footwork looks a little uncoordinated.
That's what it was. It's.
Come on, bro. I played the sport. I fucking know.
That's what I'm saying. Like my footwork was terrible, and I think that's the thing. It's like you would assume because I played rugby, it would be easier, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
Even the drills, because a homie, he was when we were at SFU, he was actually trying to play. He ended up playing on the football team.
Yeah.
So we had a coach and we were training together for a little bit. And I was like, man, like the footwork.
It's tough, yeah.
Especially like because they thought I'd be good in like defensive line.
Okay.
And then I was like, yeah, no.
See, the footwork in defensive line is like it's obviously you need to have great footwork and foot speed.
Yeah.
But it's not like offensive line where like you're staying in like a 5 yard to 7 yard kind of range where you got to have that big kick step and you got to shuffle your feet side to side and you got to have a big punch, like initial punch. I think your initial punch would be fine.
Yeah.
It's just the footwork, and then especially if someone like I don't think you'd be able to have the bend unless like you were stretching from like a young age to be able to get that low. Because as soon as someone dipped their shoulder underneath you, I think they would just get you every time.
Yeah.
Or if they turned your shoulders, it's kind of over for you.
Yeah.
Because that footwork wasn't there. But yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, man, I'm surprised that he didn't play football. He played like rugby or whatever. But it makes sense if it's 18 because that's like
I'm just gonna
11 or 12.
Move this real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I definitely thought about it. But also a lot of it too, like I realized people don't realize how much like intelligence goes into actually playing football, like learning all the plays, even just like watching people move. It's like one of those things where it's like if you don't play from a young age, trying to play it at an old age, it's like second nature. Like
it's
you
tough,
can't do it. Because even like, for example, like people who've start playing rugby at an early age, there's certain things I can do where it's like I don't even have to think about it. It's like it's almost like a reflex now where like I played with other people who started playing like maybe a year or two, like maybe like that. Like when I moved here, I was playing rugby still. There's people who had probably been playing for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
There's just an added advantage that you have where it's like it's second nature. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. And that's that, and it makes the game easier. Anytime you don't have to think, anytime you can just kind of know the plays and then kind of just play without thinking, or don't have to worry about footwork because like you're new to the footwork or whatever, or running the routes or backpedaling or kick step, whatever. Yeah. Especially quarterback. Quarterback's by far the hardest. It's like once you can kind of not think, then it's just fluid and you can just play. Yeah. And the most beautiful players to watch, or the beautiful, like the ones that are so good, are the ones that you just are just so fluid, and it's like art. That's, you know, like you see like a Kyrie or something like that, where he's just like, it's just flowing. It's just in him, and he's not thinking about it. He's just doing it. It's like he's just like painting his picture with his brush, like in real time, as opposed to being like, what am I gonna draw today? Yeah, I should try to draw. Like, no, he's just like, as it's happening, he's in the moment, it's fucking going, and it's just some like beautiful to watch. But it is a hard sport, and like if you don't, just like fighting, like you just have those like mechanics drilled in you from a young age that like it's second nature and it's muscle memory, and you can't get it back once your kind of brain is developed to a certain degree. Some people who are super, but then there's people who are super athletic that can get to the top. Yeah. But then once they fight somebody that has been doing it since they can't. Yeah. It's like a Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, or even Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. It's one of those things where it's like Errol Spence or like an Anthony Joshua, like they're super athletic and they can learn and they can make it to the top of the sport. But once they fight people who've been doing it since they were younger, that have the same talent as them, they can't compete.
I know, like Anthony Joshua is such a disappointment to me because he has that athletic build. But then when he was fighting Tyson, you could tell, like he got his, like, I can see why he doesn't want that fight.
But it's the same thing as like I literally said before the Terrence Crawford fight, I'm like, Errol Spence is literally like the Anthony Joshua of the 147. Yeah. I'm like, first of all, he's cutting a lot of weight. That's number one. But number two, like, they have the same, like, they're super muscly, but like there's no like flexibility. There's no fluid. Yeah, it's a little stiff. And like you can, because they're so athletic and they're great athletes, and their mental is so strong that they can get to the top. But then once you find someone like Crawford who's just so fluid and crisp and has been doing it from fucking ever, it's just like, it's gonna be tough. It's going to be tough. And people want to blame it on the accident and all this stuff. I'm like, where was all that talk when he came back from the accident and fucking won? There was no talk like that. But as soon as he gets demolished by someone who most people didn't think it was, like, because Errol Spence is so much bigger. Yeah. Everyone's like, they just don't think that if Errol hits Crawford, you won't be able to take it, and he's just going to overpower him and pressure him with he fights with so much pressure, and just the size is just going to overwhelm Crawford. And I was like, I think just Crawford's just going to touch him up because he's so quick. His defense is great. He's going to touch him up, and I didn't think he was going to do that. Yeah. But I definitely didn't think he was going to do that. But I thought he was going to touch him up enough where he was going to clearly win. I was like, it's going to be a good fight back and forth, but Crawford's going to take this one. But I didn't think it was going to be a domination like that. And it's going to be the same. Like if. Yeah. It's the same thing with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. It's just like they just have this boxing IQ and this knowledge from starting off so young that, like, no matter what, you can't compete. Deontay didn't even want to box, really. Yeah. He started boxing because his daughter was sick and he was trying to make money. Yeah, dude. And he just had that fucking touch of death, and he would literally flick you in the fucking nose and you go to sleep. So
you should watch his interview because he was talking. He was like, dude, like, he started boxing just to get rid of that anger that he had, and he just got good at it. And also, you can tell, like, there's also something that I realized you can't teach someone to have that dog in them. There's just some people, that's what separates a lot of athletes. For sure. There's some people who are athletically gifted, and then there's some people who have that and just have that dog, where it's just like, man, even if they're so hungry and they just need to get that shit done.
But that's in life. That's like in business, and that's in every industry. Like people who just have that dog and just like can put the hours in and can work and get shit done, and then once they get shit done, like fucking Drake's got the dog in him. Like he's been like he has everything, and like he still wants to keep going. And there's people like that. Mayweather was the same thing. Like he had everything, all the belts, undefeated, and he just wanted to keep going. He just have that dog that just never stopped. Like I am the best, and I'm going to continue being the best until I say that I'm done. Yeah. But as long as I'm in this game, no one could touch me. No one could see me. And it's like inspiring kind of. Yeah. It's like it's good. It's amazing, and I think it's necessary to see that that's possible.
Yeah.
Where like someone who can have everything can still have that dog, and then you can see that dog in people earlier.
Yeah.
But then once they actually achieve it, then the dog goes away.
For me, it's not even just that. It's like for me, like I think the best example, Deion Sanders, same thing, bro. Like
everything he touches,
he achieved everything that he needed to do, and him to still be doing, and the fact that he's doing it with his kids and other people too, man.
He's doing it in different avenues of his life. He's a dog. He's a winner.
He's
a winner. That's literally it.
Yeah.
That's the only way to describe Deion Sanders. He's a winner. All he knows is how to win at life. Whatever he does, wins. Football wins. Baseball wins. Coaches wins. Father wins. Charity wins.
And I realized too, like now, even just like watching his journey, like sometimes, like I realized I was watching something. He's like, sometimes people have this thing of like, it was an interview Al Kuja was doing, and he's like, people have this perception of being a nice guy and being good, a good person. He's like, if we're walking the street and some lady gets robbed, right, and I stop the guy and I break his arm, I'm a good guy for stopping that, but I don't have to be nice. I'm like, oh, you took the girl's purse, I'm gonna let you go. Like, you have to also be a good guy and like, inflict some harm. Yeah. So that guy doesn't do that shit again, right?
For sure.
So people have this perception, we have to be a nice guy, but like that shit doesn't work. You can be a good person, but sometimes you have to be an asshole too, man.
Yeah. And you just have to understand that like you're competing in everything that you do.
100%.
Everything, like you have to have some sort of dog in you, or you're gonna get run over by someone who wants it more than you. And that's the only thing. It's like it's all out there for the taking.
Yeah.
It's all out for the taking. But I want to go back to the how many when you did the panel and the talk. When was that?
Like a month ago, like the day of the boat party.
Okay.
Party. Yeah.
And do you plan on doing like another one soon?
I'm actually hosting my own next month.
Oh yeah. Okay. Where at?
We're just confirming the location, but it should be at this place called Oh Please. It's like a restaurant bar type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Similar concept where it's like we're doing men's mental health again.
Okay.
But we're going to have 2 therapists, a male and female one, and then like someone in the wellness industry, like a male and a female. And then we're just going to have it's going to be like a mixer too, where people can come chill, have drinks, and then do the panel. So it's going to be from 6 to 10. So the doors are open at 6. The panel will start at 7 to like 8:30. And then it's just going to turn into like just...
Hang out
afterwards.
Yeah. So why is men's mental health so important to you?
Because for me, like I've almost committed suicide like 3 times in my life, and I didn't know what those feelings were. And then just like I've lost a lot of close friends and family to that. I think it's something that we don't talk about. A lot of what you said, like, I get like we go through stuff and we can't make excuses, but there's a lot of shit that is passed down, and I think as men, we aren't taught how to deal with that shit. Because, just...
Like with our feelings?
I think with our feelings and how to deal with stress, like how to express those things. I think a lot of it's like, you and I can talk about we're stressed and we've found healthy ways of dealing with it. Some people don't have that. And then when they do express it, either a lot of times it might be to women or to people who don't understand that.
Like in what kind of ways would they do that? In like negative ways or?
Yeah, like negative. Like for example, like... one of my friends, like, he was super stressed, right? Like, he has 2 kids, family, and then work just wasn't going the way he wanted. And then he started getting, like, panic attacks and anxiety and didn't know what that was. And then he ended up, because of, like, just getting overwhelmed, ended up just, like, quitting his job without, like, letting his wife run. Like, that added more stress to it.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's why so even when you look at, like, I've been doing a lot of research in it, when you look at, like, the suicide rates, men are 4 times likely to do it than women are.
4 times more likely to kill themselves than women are?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, why do you think that is?
We just, again, a lot of it, we just haven't been taught how to regulate that.
And you think women have?
I think a lot more better than that. Like for example, when women, like, they ask each other how they're doing, right? When, for example, when you go to, like, a gathering and there's guys, we usually talk about sports and shit. I'm like, do you watch football? Like, we don't actually talk about, like, how are we doing? We just, like, how are you is not a question that we ask each other, actually.
Do you think it's because we are putting up a front, or you think it's just because we don't, like, there's no desire to talk about it?
I think the desire is there. It's just the way we've just been conditioned. Like, when, whenever, like, for example, it starts from a young age.
Yeah.
You know, from when boys fall and like, you're like, oh, like, you know, toughen up, you know, boys don't cry type of thing, right? It then perpetuates like not being, you shouldn't express your feelings. There's nothing wrong with the feelings and expressing it, but like we haven't been taught how to regulate those feelings.
So yeah, so like, do you think that's a bad way of teaching a child how to handle something like falling down
100%.
and not crying in public?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
How
it's
so?
like life is gonna happen. Like when you get older, the older you become, you realize shit is gonna happen, right? It's about you being able to even figure out what that emotion is and what is causing you to have that emotion, and then dealing with it, right? Like we all feel stressed, we all feel angry, we all feel all these emotions. There's nothing wrong with the emotions, but it's what we do with those emotions.
Do you think it matters when when you express your emotions?
Yes.
So do you think that's an appropriate place and time for a kid to cry if they fall down?
Yeah, and that's what it is too. It's like here's the thing. It's finding that balance, and also when to actually be like, listen, like shit is happening.
When it's okay to
cry.
cry.
When shit is happening, but you know, like even though shit is tough, you have to get over this, right? So I think the older generation did a good job of, you know, being stoic and being able to like withstand the stuff, but then they didn't have a way of releasing it. Like it just became bottled up, and then it overloads. Like it's like a volcano. Like it's gonna build up, and at one point it has to explode. That's why you find a lot of that generation, like our dad's generation. A lot of them like buy cars and all these things just to find a way of releasing. They weren't able to physically express their emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's on an individual to seek out a way to express their emotions, or do you think that they need to be taught?
Yes. I think for our generation, we have to seek it out.
Okay.
Because the men in our lives didn't teach us that. So we have to figure it out so that we don't pass that shit onto our kids.
Okay.
So it's about teaching your kids how to be able to withstand life shit. But we haven't had greatest examples, right? So we then have to figure, we're that generation that is realizing that we're fucked up and also figuring it out, but also trying not to pass it onto the next generation.
So what would you say are good ways to express like stress or emotion when you're going through trials and tribulations in life?
I think for me, I recommend this book. A homie gave it to me. It's called Lighter by Young Pablo. And he's like, you just have to find what works for you. Everyone's method is different. Like for me, I started running and I work out, right? That might not necessarily be the same thing for someone. It might be talking to someone, or it might be going to a therapist. You have to find what works, and that's what you're saying in the book. You have to try different things because a lot of things, that's the problem a little bit with the wellness industry. They will recommend things that might not work for you. So you have to try and figure out what works for you. Because I could tell you, like, we're completely different. Like, you might be super stressed and you might just need to sweat it out.
Yeah.
And I might need to talk to someone. I can't then be like, oh, Daniel, you're doing the wrong thing because that's what works for you.
Yeah.
Because everyone's background is different. Like the things that stress me might not stress you, right?
For sure.
So
most things don't stress me.
And that's the thing, like we're completely different. But that's the thing, we're realizing like we're on the spectrum that you are.
Yeah. Why do you think a lot of people get stressed about things that in the grand scheme of things don't really matter?
Because we're trying to control everything. When you realize, when you start with an attitude of gratitude and realize like, yes, shit is fucked, but there's someone who has it way worse than me. And there's a lot of things that you complain about, but you actually don't really need. Like we complain, oh, I need a bigger house, I need a bit of this. We don't really need that shit. I'm not saying just settle for less, but there's a lot of things when you think about like, that was reborn to perspective after like, the fires in Kelowna. Like there's stuff happening in my life, but I'm like, man, at least I have a house right now. There's a lot of people who woke up, didn't even have their house. They lost their memories. They left the house. Like, they have to figure that stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, like there's always someone who has it worse, but it's like, I think we've been taught to focus on materialistic things and don't actually. One question I've asked people that most people can't answer is like, what makes you happy? Most people can't answer that question.
What makes you happy?
Me? Just being myself. just being my true self and being able to just show up at any place and not worry about people judging me, just being able to be me.
That's it?
That's it.
Interesting. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know. I think that, one, people don't give it much thought.
Yeah.
And two, like, one thing that I have trouble with is, like, a lot of people know the answers, know how to get out of their own situation.
Yeah.
That's given them problems, but they just still choose to do things that are keeping them away from that.
Yeah.
Or keeping them away from solving their problems. And I wonder why that is. Why do you think that is? Like, let's say someone's like, oh my God, I'm like afraid to wear a 2-piece bikini because I'm out of shape, and I know I eat too much and da-da-da-da, but like they know exactly how to fix it. They know who to talk to. They know what videos to search up, like Google macros and like all that stuff. But like people still choose not to do it. Why do you think that is?
I think because people are delusional. That's the first. I think a lot of people haven't even had that conversation with themselves that I am the problem. Mm-hmm. We have this thing of like when shit hits the fan, we blame other people. And that's what that book taught, where it's like having radical honesty with yourself, when it's like when you look at everything that is going wrong in your life, you are the common factor.
For sure.
So of course, like people, they influence certain things, but if you look at everything that's been fucked, you are the common factor. So when you take responsibility for everything, it's easy to be like, okay, I am the problem. How do I fix it? How am I getting myself into those situations? But most people don't even get to that stage, because that should be the starting point. Because even, for example, when we had that conversation this week, I'd already had that conversation with myself. I knew I was fucking up. You were just like reiterating certain things. But a lot of people wouldn't even have had that conversation with themselves, which is the problem.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, no, Daniel's being an asshole. The people around me who are calling me out are being assholes. When it's like when you sit down with yourself, when you realize like life is fucked because I'm not showing up the way I need to show up.
Yeah. And most people don't even have people that would call them out anyway.
That's the thing too, where it's like, oh, they do have people like we talked about this, people are too afraid to have those conversations, where it's like, I think it's wild that you can say you care about me and not sit me down and have that conversation with me.
Yeah.
And then it will go behind my back and have that conversation. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. And like for me, there's only so many times I'm going to have that conversation with somebody
100%.
until I just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like there's been people like that where I'm just like, I've had the conversation many times, and it's not just my opinion on whether they're doing something right or wrong. It's based off of what they say.
Yeah.
So like I go off of like, that's why I ask so many questions, because like then you can't hide.
Yeah.
I'm not going to assume. I'm like, what makes you happy? And then if you're saying be myself, but then when we go out, I see you doing shit that's not really Stanley like, then I have a reason to call you out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the biggest thing that I like to do is I like to ask people questions so I know where their stance is on certain topics. So then when those topics come up, I can either be like, oh, you're doing a great job and being consistent with what you were talking about, or you're being a fake and you're not doing exactly what you said you were going to do. And like, why is that?
Yeah.
And it's like, what I don't see, like, what's the problem? Because you told me X and you're doing Y.
Yeah.
So where's the disconnect? And the problem that I have is like when I've had those conversations with certain people, they don't act like I'm the reason why, or that other people, but I think they just get upset at hearing it out loud. It's one of those things that they may have played to themselves in their head, but if no one says it to them, if another like person or another external factor or external reality says it to them, then for them it's not real.
And
you know
that's
what I'm saying?
And that's what I was saying. That's why it's like I said, most people are delusional.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying. Like for me, I had to have that conversation with someone I care about on Friday, where I'm like, listen, like you're calling me every single time we have this conversation. It's the same thing. And I'm like, my stance is not going to be like you said to me, my stance is not going to be any different. But this person is doing the same thing consistent, has been doing this for almost close to a decade now. So why are we still having this conversation? And like you said, I've given you the solution.
Yeah.
And like for me, I'm tired of having that conversation with you. And I get it, like that's what you said. Like sometimes you have to be that firm with people and be like, listen, we're having that same conversation again. Like I can't. I'm done. This is too much effort for me, right?
Yeah.
So but I think it's too like, it's a give and take. Sometimes you have to give people grace, but you can only give so much grace.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't even have those conversations with themselves. So that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I think sometimes you give people too much grace and they they absorb it in the moment, but then they just go right back to their same habits and their same personality.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where it's like, okay, that like for me to have this conversation again, I need to see you change on your own.
Yeah.
Like I need to start seeing like positive improvements from afar.
100%.
Like now I'm going to keep my distance. And then once I start seeing positive improvements from afar, then I'll be able to like slowly and occasionally insert myself back in where like I show some support or I lend a helping hand or I, you know, sit down and have a little bit of advice and stuff like that. But I just don't understand. I don't know. This world kind of confuses me where like everyone just like complains all the time. And I'm like, and what?
Yeah.
Like what? So what? Okay. Like you don't always, like in life, you don't always get what you want.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be sunshine. It's never, sorry, I shouldn't say it's not always. It's never going to be sunshines and rainbows. And there's going to be sacrifices. You're going to have to give up this to do that. It's never going to be just like, oh, I get to do exactly what I want with no consequences and everybody's happy and everyone loves me. Yeah. It's never going to be that. So, like, why do you keep chasing that?
Yeah.
It's like a form of perfection that people try to chase that's, like, literally unattainable.
And I think that's the thing. A lot of people don't even know what makes them happy, and that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. People don't have those conversations with themselves. Because even for me, like, that's been the biggest thing for me, like, this year. Figuring, like, what makes me happy, and things can change. Like, 23-year-old me and me right now are so completely different. Yeah. There are some things that have not changed, but the more I've gone through life and life has been lifing, you realize like some things that I don't like thought were important in the grand scheme of things don't really mean anything to me.
For sure.
And there's some things I'm like, there's some things I can't go through life without, like things like loyalty and like people just being straight up and like, you know, like certain values that I hold so near and dear to my heart where like I think I'll be 100 if I live that long, and these will be important. And then you realize there's some people like, this doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I can't be losing sleep over this type of shit or these type of people.
Yeah, I think most people don't have values and standards that they hold themselves 100%. To and maintain. And I think that once people have that, like I have a value for myself that like I'm going to do certain things, and if I don't do certain things, then I won't do them at all. Like whether it's like the clothes I wear or like where I go to eat or it's whether how much I work out or whatever the case, or what my body looks like or how I feel or who people I hang out with or the relationships. Like there's certain standards where it's like, this is my standard, and if I don't get this, I'm not doing it. Yeah. And most people don't have that. They always set a standard, but then when push comes to shove, they always compromise, and then they wonder why they're unhappy. I'm like, well, because you fucking decided to take shit when you shouldn't have. Or you allowed somebody to go against one of your values that maybe it wasn't an actual value. Maybe you thought it was, and now that it's actually kind of right in your face, you figured, oh, I don't really care about it that much, and you can always adjust your values. But if you constantly keep compromising on your values and your standards in important aspects of your life, you're never going to be happy. Like if you're like, oh, I want to be in shape, but like you never exercise, you're not going to like yourself. Exactly. You're literally not going to like yourself. And the biggest thing is like, if you don't like you, how do you expect other people to like you?
And that's the thing. A lot of people don't like themselves.
For me, like a perfect example is like when I see people who are like, that don't exercise and that are overweight, and then you look at their kids and they're overweight, I'm like, that's one of the most selfish things I've ever fucking seen. Because now that kid knows nothing else. Yeah. They know nothing else. You know that being out of shape and being fat and eating like trash isn't good for your self-confidence, isn't good for your self-image, isn't good for your public image. Yeah. Yet you allowed yourself to do that and ruin your own life and then bring a child into this world, and then now you're setting them up for failure. Yeah. So like now they're going to school and they're in elementary school and kids are making fun of them because they're fat or whatever the case may be, and it's because they learned it from you, because you didn't have the self-discipline to, like, once you learned that was an appropriate thing to do and a beneficial thing to do, you didn't have the self-discipline to implement that. Yeah. And then now your kids, just like you said, passing the trauma on to your kids, it's the same thing. Yeah. Like whether it's trauma on how to break the cycle of like dealing with your feelings and dealing with stress and not bottling things up, it's the same thing with your health and fitness. Yeah. It's like you're setting your kid up for failure by not implementing these things where you're saying, okay, we're not having pop. You're drinking water and that's it. If it's once a week, twice a week, you can have a can of pop, okay. But like the fact that it's like, okay, you wake up, orange juice. I give you 2 juice boxes for fucking school. Fucking this, fucking that. Candy. All, it's like, okay, then what do you expect? And then you're out of shape and you're not exercising, and now your kid's fat, and now your kid's not getting made fun of at school, and you're like, people are bullying my kid at school. What do you expect?
Yeah, it's
like bullying. People are like, bullying's mean. Bullying is necessary because it's a natural evolution. It's a natural thing that kids do when you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
No one who's a good athlete, no one who's in shape, no one who takes care of themselves, and they're just like, oh, they're just kids. It's the parents' job to do these things. I'm not saying it's the kid's fault. It's the parents' fault. But that's what happens. Like, if someone is fat, kids make fun of kids who are fat. No one really makes fun of kids who are skinny. Yeah. Unless they're like, and like kids are mean, obviously, but because kids have no filter. But now adults have to be like so politically correct, and it's like, no. Like, adults should be bullied too. Yeah. Like, you need to know that like your behavior isn't appropriate, and I'm not gonna just like brush it aside and be like, oh, you shouldn't body shame and you shouldn't like this and that. Like, no. You're not a smart person. You are not an in shape person. Yeah. And you know that, and I know that. So for us to act like it doesn't exist is ridiculous. For you to be wearing a two-piece bathing suit and it not look good because you're overweight, we're not just gonna ignore that fact and be like, oh, you go. Or like a guy takes his shirt off and it's like, well, you should probably be exercising and eating a bit better because that doesn't look good. And I need to tell you that. And it's not based off of society's vision on what should look good. No. Any normal human being without social media, without any of these things, can look at something and judge whether it looks good or not. Yeah. That's just fact.
And that's the thing. I think that's a lot of, because the backlash, what I know with what people like will come for you for saying that is like, you being healthy does not mean you have to have a six-pack. But
no.
If you can't even walk down the street.
That's it.
And you're out of, like, that's what I mean by unhealthy. Like, you don't all have to be like in like bodybuilding shape or whatever it is, right? But it's just, and that's what a lot of people
functional.
Like, and that's what for me, the thing that has helped me think about it, like me getting back into better shape and just be better with my health. I was like, I want to be able to pick up my kids and do activities with my kids.
For sure.
Half these people, I look at them like, you cannot do any activities.
You can't do, and the whole point is that it's not about what you look like. It's about what you can do. But it correlates. Yeah. Your body will look like someone who can squat 400 and do fucking 35 push-ups in a row will most likely look like someone who could squat 400 and do 35 push-ups in a row. Obviously, there's those anomalies where it's like a big fat guy who's super athletic and can do backflips. Bravo. But the majority of people, if you can do things with your body, if you can do 5 pull-ups in a row, you're going to look like you can do 5 pull-ups in a row. There's typically not someone who looks overweight and fat who can do those things. Those are rare people. Those are anomalies. It's all about what your body can do. If your body can do things, if you can go for a hike without having a heart attack, if you can go for a 3K run, 5K run without stopping, your body's going to typically look like that. It's going to mold itself to a shape where it looks like, and it can be able to do those things. And that's what people don't understand. People are like, they think it's all aesthetics. No. Your body will look like what it can do. Yeah. Trust me. If you look and you see someone who has this big ass belly, like their fucking belly, like some girl's belly's bigger than their ass, and I'm just like, oh, I know you don't exercise. Or some guy who has this fucking huge ass belly and these skinny legs, I'm just like, I know you can't do anything. Like, you're like, physically, you can't do anything just based off of how you look. Yeah. And people are like, judging a book by its cover. 90% of the time, I will be correct. Yeah. I've been in this game long enough. I've been a fucking professional athlete. I've been playing football since the 8th grade, retired in 2015. I've been exercising since the 9th grade to this day. I fucking own it. I know what I'm looking at. Yeah. I've trained enough to know what someone's going to be able to do and not able to do just by looking at them. And that's based off of what your body can do. Yeah. It's not about having a six-pack. It's not about having these big-ass muscles and traps and being jacked. Yeah. It's you have gotten to a point where you can't do anything. If you don't have a genetic disease or any sort of, like, if you don't have rheumatoid arthritis and all of a sudden you just can't run, that's because you haven't been taking care of your body.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, even that's one of the things I like that has opened my eyes, just working at this gym. Mm-hmm. Like, there's people on a spectrum. There's so many different people who come here.
For sure.
But, like, it's crazy to see, like, you see, like, we have members who are older who come in, like, 50s and 60s, still moving. Yeah. Right? I'm not saying you have to move the same way you did when, like, 20s.
You won't be able to.
But you're going to be able to move. And it's, like, even here, like, seeing, like, women who were pregnant come in and they're still working out after they've come in. Like, and like you have people who are like, you're not pregnant, you're not anything. You're just making
you got
excuses.
no excuse.
Yeah, like
there's people in their late 50s that are more in shape than people in their late 20s.
And I was like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. And that's nobody else's fault but your own. And you can blame COVID and you can blame all this bullshit, but you're lazy. You don't want to put the work in. You've tried it. You understand how hard it is, how much of a grind it is, how much time it takes, how much effort it takes, how much pain tolerance it takes, and you're not willing to put in that work, and you want people to feel sorry for you. Yeah. And then you also don't want people to bring up the fact that you're fucking lazy. And that's not how the world works.
And that's the thing,
you can stay at the bottom, and you can stay fat, you can stay out of shape, you can be a loser, but everyone else who's willing to put in that work, they'll gain the benefits, and they'll be at the top.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then you wonder why you have low self-confidence. And you wonder why you don't like yourself. And you wonder why you take your shirt off to go shower and you don't like what you see. It's because you're lazy. It's nothing else. It's because you can't control what goes into your mouth. That's it. Me, I have the physique to fucking be able to eat whatever I want, and I don't. I fast every fucking day.
Yeah.
I fast until 1 o'clock. I stop eating at 9 o'clock. I eat between 1 and 9, and that's a choice. And is it hard? Of course. When I wake up at 5 in the morning and I can't eat till 1, it sucks. I'm hungry. My stomach's rumbling.
But that's the thing. You've built up to it. And
it's not even building up to it. I just did it.
Yeah, well, that's right.
I used to have bagels every fucking morning. You used to grab us Tim Hortons in the morning, cinnamon raisin bagels, toasted with butter, fucking bagel belts, all that stuff. And then one day I'm just like, no, I'm getting a little fluffy. Let me fix this. Boom. Cold turkey. Well, you have to just suck it the fuck up.
Yeah, and when I mean build up to it, I mean as like you've cut it out and you've seen the benefits of it, and it's made you feel better. You can see it. So it's harder for you to give up on something when you put in so much work.
For sure, but it's also you have to do it for a sustained period of time to even see the benefits, to have that, it's actually working.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like you have to do it for 3, 4, 6 weeks until you're going to see some sort of resemblance of results. And then you're like, oh, it is working. And that's when you continue. Like, I don't need to, like, I haven't been doing abs, and my abs have come back looking way better than they did before from the fasting. Yeah. So I upped my protein, and I fasted. So now there's only an 8-hour window I can eat. There's only so many calories I'm going to be able to eat in an 8-hour window. Yeah. That's number one. Number two, whatever I do eat, I make sure it's a lot of protein. So, like, just now I had the wrap from Quesada, ground beef. I'm going to go to my parents' house, have some stewed chicken. Yeah. If I'm hungry in between, I'm going to have a protein shake. I'll be drinking water every fucking day with salt on.
Yeah. But that's the thing, because you value that. And that's what I'm saying, because we've had this conversation before. Up until I value those things, there's a lot of things that you would say to me that would not trigger me, but like, Daniel's just talking shit. Not necessarily like in that sense, but I'm just like.
But most of the time, it's a mixture. Yeah. When I talk, it's a mixture of me talking shit and talking facts.
Yeah. But the thing is, what I'm saying is like, once I start actually like, just being intentional with that type of shit. Yeah. Because even we've gone out a couple of them, like, you're like, today I'm not drinking today. Yeah. Because I'm like, bro, if I drink, it's just going to fuck up the work I've done. Yeah. Not to say you can't enjoy life. And I think that's the biggest problem. A lot of these like fitness people in the wellness, they have these like fads. I'm like, lose weight in 30 days. Where it's like, it has to be a lifestyle. You have to build up to it.
That's it. There's no quick fix, man.
There's no quick fix.
Yeah. And also when you do enjoy yourself and go out and have those nights where you get drunk or you eat a shitload or you eat a whole pizza to yourself or you eat a whole tub of ice cream, it's more enjoyable because you've put the work in.
Exactly.
But if you're having pizza every other night or if you're having pizza twice a week and then you're having pasta and then you're fucking going out and you're having fucking 5, 6 drinks, cocktails, it's like, how is that enjoyable when you're not putting in the work on the other side?
Because people don't think about the long
term. It just adds up.
Yeah, like people don't, like that's how people get,
Yeah, and then they don't realize, they don't realize as they get older, their metabolism slows down. So now you still don't have that 6-pack drinking all those beers. And all of a sudden you're looking a bit more fluffy. Yeah. And all of a sudden that fucking waistline is getting a little wider. And you're like, oh, I went from a 34 to a 36. And you're wondering why. It's because it slows down for everybody. Look at your parents.
Yeah.
Look at your older friends. Look at everybody that walks the street that's older than you. No one beats father time. So there's certain things that you have to start to implement. Yeah. And it's ideal to do it at an early age. And that's why I laugh at these parents where I'm like, you know what's good for your kid, yet you refuse to do it. And then you wonder why your kid's a fucking loser or your kid's fat or your kid's out of shape. And then it's like, oh, yeah, my kid just sits around doing nothing. Yeah, who lets that happen? Yeah. You have to take some accountability in what your kid does. Like, get them all. I know parents that don't let them use an iPad, and it's like, okay, some people think it's good, some people think it's bad. Some people are like, that's great, like, yeah, it should be like the old days. Some people are like, well, the future, like, we're not going backwards in time. It's gonna be fucking iPhones and fucking VR, and so it's like, why would you take it away from your kid? And like, so I get both sides of the spectrum, but there's a happy medium where it's like.
And then a lot of it is just like the principle behind it. There's nothing wrong with the iPad.
Nothing.
It's what you do with the iPad and all those things. And that's one thing, like, now that I'm older, even looking back, like I'm saying, like my high school and elementary school, every semester they made us do at least 2 sports. We had to do 2 sports. We had to do a cultural activity. We had to learn so many different things. Like we had to like either be in choir or like an extra school curricular activity that made us well-rounded people. Yeah. And I look at it now, I'm like, this is why I am the person I am today. And I look at the education system here where it doesn't have that. Yeah. And you can tell the difference.
And people can skip gym now and like they don't have, I'm like, are you fucking mad?
Yeah, we had gym too, and we had to do, we're mandatory.
Because a little fat girl doesn't like to run in gym class and feels sad that now she doesn't have to do it. How's that going to set her up for the rest of her life?
And also you're setting that precedent of, like, that's not how real life is.
That's not how real life is.
When you get your job and, like, you don't feel like, doing something, your boss is not going to be like, oh, I don't.
Dude, you see all these companies. All these companies are like, now there's mandatory coming back to work. Yeah. No more of this bullshit. Oh, you can work from home and get. No. Because, like, when you're in a room with 13 people all ideating, can't do that from home. Yeah. Cannot do that from home. When we're all trying to build a business or we're trying to plan an event and there's just people bouncing outside like ideas off each other in real time, that can only happen in the office. Yeah. There's only certain things that can happen in the office, and you may want to try to use technology and be like, oh no, it'll help. I'll be more productive, and then I could stay home with my kids, and then it's not going to work. Yeah, and companies are starting to see that, and they're starting to slowly and be like, hey, you're either coming back to work or you're literally giving your resignation, and you're telling us that you don't want to work here anymore. Because this is going to happen. And a lot of companies are doing that now. And I think that's where it's going to go back. Everyone needs to go back to fucking work.
I think for some industries, that hybrid does work. And then there's somewhere I'm just like, I know friends who work from home, and I even call them. And I'm like, every time I'm calling, you're literally doing nothing.
Nothing. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. But I got to head to mom's house.
Well, before we leave, though, have you heard that new Drake, though?
I've played the song twice. Yeah. I haven't really listened. But apparently people say it's going off.
Oh, it's fine. No, listen to what he said. I don't know who heard Drake, but damn, he's going back to
the old Drake. Oh, no, the Take Care Drake.
Bro, like I'm telling you,
because every meme I see is like, like so it's like,
trust me, listen to what he says. Yeah. Like, because I've played like 3-4 times now. I don't know who heard Drake, but damn, like he's in his feels in that song for sure.
I wonder who it was.
Yeah,
it was maybe Rihanna.
No, I think this is something recent because that one is like when I'm telling, when you listen to what he's saying or you can just like read the lyrics.
It's deep.
It's deep. Like you can tell it's like Marvin's Room deep.
That's the Drake I like though.
That's what I was gonna hear. I was like, okay.
See it in your eyes.
Yeah, that's my shit. Yeah, I'll listen to it though. All right, yo, next week.
Next time.
Same time next week, baby.
Peace.
All right, yo, peace.